is another just a lackluster performance at the end of the day for your Portland Trailblazers, man. They struggled a bit, and I actually was paying attention here, and I thought that in the pregame show with Curtis Long, I thought Casey Holdall said something that, quite honestly, I hadn't brought it up yet because I hadn't thought of it. So you got to give him credit. But I thought he made a good point, and that was just that, you know what, the Blazers pretty much have a chance to win any game they're in, right? As long as they don't get down. Like, it sounds dumb, but if they match teams bucket for bucket and they can keep games close, they can keep it 5, they can keep it 6 games, then they'll have chances to come out, get leads, and sneak away with some victories, right? What the team cannot do, because they just do not have the firepower to do it, is come back from big leads. Like, big deficits destroy this team, right? They just cannot come back. When a team gets up by 20, team gets up by 25, they just do not lack or do not have the firepower, man. And it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And tonight was a game like that where they got down big, especially in that third quarter, right? Where they were outscored 40-23. And at that point, they just didn't have the firepower to get back into it. This Blazers team, one thing they do not do a lot of, at least it doesn't feel like they do a lot of, is they do not go on runs, right? You don't see a lot of 10-0 runs or, 16-2 runs or whatever it is that gets the Blazers back in games, right? You just don't. And so it's a struggle for the team to get out and get out of a deficit, and especially when they're on the road. It's really bad. It's hard. It's rough. It's tough. They struggled again tonight. Timmy Hammock in chat says, I feel like Teddy Long came out and told us we got to face off against The Undertaker this game. Playa. Gosh, you know what? Timmy? I absolutely love your WWE deep cuts. They are the best. They are the absolute best. By the way, Friday Night SmackDown will be in town in 2 weeks. Y'all better be there. I'm going to try to be there. Yeah, my buddy works for WWE. Never gets me tickets. Never helps me out. Gotta see if Chad can spread some of that post-Christmas cheer for me. All right, if you want to join in on the conversation, youtube.com is one way to go there. 503-248-0620 is another. And, of course, Chris J. Burkhardt is the name on social media. But let's take a look at that box score, because when I talk about firepower and inability to come back, there's a couple things that we're going to point to, okay? First off, as always, we're going to start with the opposing team. We're going to look at their box score. Another game where the Mavericks beat you with multiple people, right? It's more than just Luka. This team they're pretty well balanced, man, especially when they're healthy and things are going. And I mean, there's a reason that they're 18-10, right? But Luka Doncic, he had 27 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 20 points and 2 assists from Kyrie Irving, 23 points off the bench from Daniel Gafford, 13 points from Klay Thompson. PJ Washington Jr. had 12, also had a smattering of scoring off of the bench. The only person who did not score for the Dallas Mavericks was Kessler Edwards. He put up 0 points in 9 minutes, but he played some decent defense. He still found a way to be effective. Dwight Powell played 10 minutes and had 7 points also. Got to give Lamar some credit on the TV call, saying he feels like he's Dallas's Udonis Haslem. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good way of putting it. I mean, he might never leave. So, but the balance there, I mean, that's 3 players with 20 or more points, 5 players in double figures, everybody on the bench outside of 1 player scoring, because they didn't really need him because they were up big the whole time. That's just good balance all the way around. As for the Blazers, 19 points from Denny Avdia to lead all of the Trailblazers in scoring, 6 of 11. He also had 6 rebounds, 3 assists. So a good bounce back game for him scoring and shooting wise after that tough game in San Antonio, which you like to see. DeAndre Ayton, 16 points, 9 rebounds, and the third leading scorer on the team tonight, Scoot Henderson, 14 points, also had 6 rebounds and 4 assists, right? So good performance from Scoot as well. What's a little frustrating here, especially when you're talking about, a team struggling to come back from a big deficit, is the next person on the list in scoring is Jabari Walker. He played just 8 minutes, had 13 points, including a cheap one there at the end, but that's just the way he is. Okay? 13 points. And what's frustrating about that, ladies and gentlemen, is outside of Robert Williams and Matisse Thybulle not playing, his team was healthy. And who's missing? As I rattle off the top scorers of this game, who is not in the Blazers' top 5 in scoring in this game? Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant did not crack the top 5 in scoring for this team. And that is not how you win games if you're the Trailblazers. It's just not going to happen. You need your best scorers, or the guys who your go-tos, you need them to show up. Your top 3 scorers on the season right now are Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, and Jeremy Grant. And Shaedon Sharpe is about to pass Ant if Ant can't get his act together because his offense has just been lackluster, right? So then you look at the box score and you're like, okay, your number 1 scorer had the 6th most points in this game. Your 3rd best scorer, he had the 2nd fewest points. The only person who scored less than Jeremy Grant in this one for the Portland Trailblazers was Chris Murray. Can't have that, man. It's abysmal. It's terrible. You're not going to win games like that. You're going to get down by 30 and struggle to stay in it. That's what happens. Looking at the YouTube chat, Timmy chimes back in. This game was so ugly. I could hear JR saying, stop! Censored for radio purposes game. Stop the GD match. I love it. I love it. Can we give Denny more minutes? I'm ready for it, says Sean. What Denny get in this one? 22 minutes in this one. Yeah, I feel you, Sean. He has had like the game in San Antonio where he had a bad game. You're like, that's weird because he's been so consistent. He's kind of been the Blazers' most consistent player over the last month. So I'm totally down. I don't necessarily think he needs to start yet. I'll put that in there because I do, boy, if they build this thing right. Of course, I got a lot of moving parts here. I'd like him in the 6-man role. He's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. And no, Timmy, you still do not get to pick a tattoo for me. Do not get to pick a tattoo for me. Even though didn't we come to the consensus we're going to get Travis, a Simpson-fied Travis. I can't remember, but it was funny in the moment. I'll go back and find it. If you want to jump in with these crazy shenanigans, go to youtube.com. Get in on the comments there where, you know what, even a tough loss is easy to get through when you guys just crack me up and make the night easy, right? 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And, of course, Chris J. Burkhardt, B_slot are the names on social media. You can send us some questions, comments, and concerns there as well. That's right. He wants Jar Jar Binks holding the hot dog. I still don't know why. Oh, you fans, you're just too much to handle. We're going to take a quick break here, though, in the 5th quarter. When we come back, Brenden has been working really hard because he had to siphon through a lot of nonsense to find a drive of the night and the shot of the night. They might be one and the same. Maybe they're one highlight. They might even be a Dallas Maverick player who did it. Who knows? He's going to surprise me when we come back. We still have Coach's Corner to get to and a game ball to hand out. I don't even know if that's a thing on a game like this. But we're going to have fun because that's what we do. Chris Burkhardt here with you. This is the 5th quarter presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
It's time for the fifth quarter shot of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Down to 6. Bounce pass over to Henderson. Down to 3. Steps back. 3 on the way. Buries it as the clock expires. And the Blazers take their first lead of the game at the end of the first period.
It's time for the fifth quarter drive of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Doncic, two-hand pass to the corner for an open Thompson. Three-pointers are rounded out. Lively can't handle the rebound. Banton's got it. Pushes back 3-on-2 to Avdia. Drives to the rim, lays it in. And we're tied at 38. That's our Les Schwab doing the right thing matters play. As Avdia, the beneficiary of the rebound and the pass, he gets the 2. Les Schwab doing the right thing matters.
I am currently writing an email to Chad doing to get my producer a raise as soon as possible because he was able to find 2 highlights out of that. That's pretty well done. That's pretty well done. Timmy Hammock says, I think we should suit up Chris and have him run the show. He'll be like Ruben Patterson and be the Lucas stopper. I did laugh. I said back when we had open gym runs at the University of Oregon, which was a lifetime ago, they started calling me the Kobe stopper because there was this one mega Kobe fan. And I always had to guard him because he was the shortest guy on their team, and I was the shortest guy on my team. He was really good at basketball. I wasn't. I think they called me Kobe Stopper as a joke. So I don't think you really want me to suit up and run this show. I will. My coaching philosophy, Timmy, is I'm going to call timeout, and then I'm going to be like, okay, what we just did over there, that let them score a bucket, let's not do that. What is? Do you guys know something different than that? Do different. I don't like that. Okay, I'll put my players in timeout though. I'll be a hard ass. Like, why is coach sitting on the plane reading basketball plays for dummies? Find out how to talk to you guys. Also, Timmy is pretty creative, Brenden. He wanted me to get a tattoo, and we were talking about this the other day. He says that he wants to pick one for you. He wants it to be a velociraptor. Right? Where'd this go? Oh my gosh, the chat, it's falling apart. There it is. A velociraptor wearing a Rambo headband riding on a shark with a jetpack. That is creativity.
Of all the tattoo ideas, I mean
that's
I do
pretty
like
money.
I do like dinosaurs.
I
can
pretty
mess
money.
with that. I can mess with that.
Okay.
Not the craziest thing in the world.
Yes. Also, he says it's only a foul if you're caught. This is true. It's true. It's not a foul if no one calls it. No one calls it. Can you imagine the NBA if you called your own fouls?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Games would never end. Games would never end. If you want to join in on this conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Also, youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio and join the chat there. Sean had a good question. He said, if Flag isn't a 1A type, can the Blazers be competitive in the next couple of years? They don't have a 1A. If they don't have a 1A option, if they have a few 1B options and some supporting cast, can they compete for a title? Now, this is obviously all working under the assumption that the Blazers, get the number 1 pick, and that's Cooper Flag, and that's who they draft. And here's the thing. I think one thing is apparent when you look at this roster right now, right? Let's look at this box score. Okay, I talked about the 2 of the top 3 scorers not even cracking the top 5 tonight, which is just abysmal, right? But Denny Avdia led the team in scoring. He's not a 1A. He's not an alpha, right? They need an alpha. Like, I know the whole Mamba mentality thing is totally overblown, but that type of player is an alpha, right? And there's a lot of players in the league who have that same mentality that, hey, I'm going to take the ball. I'm going to score. Like Matt Hasselbeck in the overtime against the was it against the Steelers, right? Thanksgiving, or we want the ball and we're going to score, right? That's pick on Matt Hasselbeck all you want, but that's a bit of an alpha mentality, and you need that, right? You could just go down the list of all the teams in the standings, and who, like Jokic is an alpha, Curry is an alpha, Booker's an alpha, right? Down the list, like Shea Gilgeous, that guy's an alpha. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, those are alpha type players. Portland just doesn't have that, man. Anthony Simons is not an alpha. Jeremy Grant is not an alpha. DeAndre Ayton's not an alpha. And by alpha, I just mean I'm not talking machismo and being an alpha male. I'm just talking about being the guy who leads the pack. Right now, this pack of wolves is out in the wilderness. They don't know where their alpha went, and no one else is stepping up to be the alpha. Shaden Sharp is the closest, and I think he's going to develop into one, and maybe that's going to help you out in the long term, Sean, because he turns into one, right? And when he does, everything's good to go. But you still need that guy. Now, I think if Cooper is a straight solid 1B and Sharp's a 1B and Scoot develops into a 1B, that's a playoff team. That's a playoff team. But this team, like right now, the Blazers don't have 1Bs. They have a 2 and a 3 trying to be 1 and 2. And it's rough. It's absolutely rough. Like Jeremy Grant right now, he's probably the second best scorer on the team, even though he's the third leading scorer. But still, we know how good he can be scoring wise. You put him on a team like let's say you put him in Denver. Doesn't fit there for what they need, but let's just say you put him in Denver. He's not ahead of Jokic, Gordon, Murray, or MPJ when it comes to scoring options. He's the fifth option, right? I mean, you put him in Boston, and where you got Tatum and you got Brown, you even got Peyton Pritchard who's killing it. You got White, what's he? The fourth option. That's the point, though, Brenden. Like this, when you put this guy on a championship team, he's your fourth or fifth option. He's your second option right now. And over the last 2 games, he just combined for 8 points. Not a recipe to win games. Sean chimes back in and says, we need to let Sharp cook the rest of the season. See what he has. And you know what, Sean? I think the team is not only letting him do that right now, I think he's finally understanding that that's what he needs to do. Because, yes, they lost this game, but I did like that there are moments over the last week, even in the losses, where it's like he's just looking like more of a player who has that little bit of aggression to him. And that's something coaches said a long time. Like, I need him to be more aggressive. I need him to take those shots. They're drawing up more offense for him. Like I like tonight. He led the team in shot attempts, 14. I love that. I think it's just a matter of being comfortable in that role. I almost think the guy is super, super talented. Like how many people have worked with someone who is supremely talented? Like you probably look up to them in the workplace because they're so good at what they do. Yet sometimes they sit there and when they talk, you can tell that they question their own abilities. And you're like, how do you question yourself? You are so talented. I think a lot of people know that archetype that I'm talking about. Sometimes I feel like Shaden is that guy. It's just a matter of him believing in himself like a lot of fans do. And I think when that clicks, then I think he can be really, really good. Really, really good. Phil chimes in, I'm not seeing a single player who they can build around. This rebuild has another rebuild coming. It could be another 5+ years before they get enough talent to compete in the West. And Phil, I mean, he might very well be right. That's the tough part about a rebuild. That is the tough part about a rebuild. And the extra tough part, Phil, to me, is just like the doors are not open for these guys to get out there and develop, man. Like I said in the pregame show, like I want Donovan Clingan out there. I want him playing his tail off. I want him playing big minutes because I want him to develop into the player you need him to be. But that's not going to happen as long as DeAndre Ayton is closing that starting door on him, right? And then you get nights like tonight where Donovan Clingan, your prize number 7 overall pick, plays just 15 minutes. Scoot Henderson had a pretty efficient night. He played fewer minutes than Anthony Simons, despite the fact that Anthony Simons was struggling again. I don't like that. I still think Shaden Sharp has it in him, but you need Shaden Sharp to take a massive jump to your point, to be the guy that you build around. I think right now you have a lot of pieces that you want to build with, but not necessarily who is the core piece? I don't think you have that just yet. I think maybe there's hope that Cooper Flagg is that guy, but guess what? You're not the only team hoping that Cooper Flagg is that guy. That's the tough part. This is all a crapshoot, man. This is all a crapshoot because right now, if you look at the standings, Charlotte, Toronto, Washington, Utah, New Orleans, they're all hoping Cooper Flagg is that guy too. That's the tough part in all this. Everything changes on a whim and where the lottery balls fall. I mean, imagine if Portland got that number 1 overall pick and they drafted Vic. They didn't get Scoot, they got Vic, and that's not to disparage Scoot, but just imagine if they had Vic.
Things be a little bit different right now.
Dame's still here, that's for sure. You convinced Dame to stay if you drafted Wemby.
Oh, hands down. I mean, that
right?
never happens, and we're living in a completely different matrix in the universe.
It's an absolute butterfly effect, my man.
Oh, totally.
An absolute butterfly effect. So, but Phil, I don't know if you're wrong. I still see Sharp being that. I still think if you had Truth Serum and you talked to Joe Cronin, they want Sharp to be their guy. And I have seen little flashes. It's a matter of just being. I want to see it consistently. I want to get to the point where when he has only 20 points, you're like, oh my gosh, it was an off night. You know, that feeling around Dame, right? Where, oh my gosh, he only scored 20 points tonight. He had an off night. That was terrible. Because 30 and 40s just felt so normal. You need that. Yeah. I'd have to do a little more research, Sean. Everyone knows Cooper Flag. I know it's a deep draft, but I can't even think of names off the top of my head. I focus one at a time. I go into pure draft mode once the NBA is done.
Ace Bailey.
Yeah,
A couple other, like, again, well, from
Jackson's Shellstad.
It's true. From what I heard, somebody, and this is a really simple way to look at this draft, Chris, is I've read multiple places. Zachary Ricochet, who went first last draft.
Hey, it pays to have a guy whose main job outside of here is covering college sports. Good job.
It's true. That Ricochet would probably go 10th in this NBA draft. So just take that for what you will.
Okay, there you go. He's the expert. I also don't believe anyone who covers the NBA and then sits here and gives you absolute perfect college prospects. Like right now, I'm like, you do not have enough time to watch all college basketball and the NBA. No. I mean, I struggle to watch just the Blazers, and I watch a lot of NBA too because I have to, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't have time for college basketball until the end of the year. You hit March Madness, and then I can start going back because there's no Blazer basketball. Then you start watching film and realizing where you're at. We'll get there. We'll get there in pieces. That's why I rely on people like you. All right, if you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can jump on in the chat. Of course, you can go into the YouTube chat as well, where I appreciate everyone there holding it down for us. But let's head out to the phone lines right now where my friend Victor in Turkey is on the line. I'm glad you called, Victor. I was beginning to wonder if you were mad at me. I hadn't heard from you in a while.
No, Chris. I'm never mad, but I'm
good.
kind of disappointed. I'm disappointed of something, but I have some answer for you, because I watch a sport and I did a sport for a long time, so I know what's going on. But the thing to convince you or to make my point, because it's hard to convince you on something, but I have to say that I have to refer to Chad, some of the things that Chad said. Now, that doesn't mean you and Chad, you're going to agree on all things, for sure. That doesn't mean that because his name is Chad and your name is Chris, that doesn't mean you are agreeing on something. But what the Chad said about the Anthony Simon, I don't care if he goes to another team. I really don't care, but you're not making the right point, Chris. Chad said that the team, the Blazers, they changed the Anthony Simon role. You can ask him what he means. I mean, I don't have a good English. I don't have a perfect English to say that, and sometimes even I cannot talk. But you can talk to Chad. Said what he means. They changed the Anthony Simon roles. When you see the Anthony Simon in the first two quarters, he's going to pass to Sharp. He's going to pass to Grant. He's going to pass all over the place. He's not going to shoot. He doesn't like to shoot the ball anymore, my friend. He doesn't like to shoot it. That's not his fault.
Here's the deal, though, Victor. So
let me finish my point, man.
No. I got to make you come correct because I'm with Chad. I've been coming across that way too. They have changed his role. They've made him more of a passer and a ball handler, and that's not what his strong suit is. They need to play him off the ball and let him shoot. He's a catch and shoot guard, always has been. He's not a ball handler.
No, what I'm saying is when you see the first 2 years, he was scoring 30 points. The first 2 years, what happened to him?
I think part of it is to your point and Chad's point is to defend Anthony Simons is the fact that they have pulled him around and moved him around constantly. He comes in and he's more of a two guard because CJ McCollum is your backup guard with the way you staggered your rotation. So he's playing a lot more too. And then you get rid of CJ. So now he's playing more of a combo guard, playing a little bit more one and still playing the two. And then you trade off Dame and you move him straight to the one. Like he has been back and forth. And I just don't think combo guards in his game. He needs to be more of a shooter and be more aggressive, but it's hard to be aggressive and be a shooter when you're also running all those plays and keeping the ball in your hands. Look at Steph Curry in Golden State, right? Like Steph Curry is aggressive, he's a shooter, but how often does that offense run with the ball in someone else's hands? A lot of the time, and he is great off the ball.
Okay, let me tell you, because you're more complicated. So what I'm saying, look at when Yusuf Nurkic, that was Yusuf Nurkic. Everybody knows that he was better than the Ayton and pick and roll. Everybody knows that. Everybody say that, man. The Yusuf Nurkic was better pick and roll. Everybody knows that.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm saying is, let me finish. When Yusuf Nurkic was on the team, the Damian was making all the 3 points because pick and roll, and also so did Anthony Simon with the Dayton Ayton. That doesn't feel like a pick and roll. That the Anthony Simon doesn't make enough room to make a 3-pointer. He has to struggle going left and right to point the. That is the complexity of the team. They changed the whole structure of the team, man. That's not the players' fault.
Oh, no.
That's the coach's fault and the system they're playing. They're playing totally different system than when the Yusuf Nurkic was on the team. They're playing totally different system. That's number one. Number two, I was going to say, like a Grant, the last 2 games or the last few games, he has under 10 points. Stuff like that. Or even Benton, Donald Benton, he had 1 point or something like that. What happened that when they brought him, they were so proud of him, so excited of him, one couple of games he had 30 points. And now in the last few games, he has like a few points. That means that he's not a consistent player. They have to get rid of him. He's not a consistent player. They have to get rid of him. Simple as that.
Well, thanks for the call, Victor. Now, here's the deal. Now it's my turn to talk. It's time for you to listen, okay? I am not wasting time worrying about the up and down and the inconsistency of Delano Banton and the $2 million he makes per year and the coming off of the bench. And guess what? If this team builds the roster that they want, he's not part of it. Like, I love Delano Banton as much as the next guy, but let's be realistic here. I did this entire conversation with you guys. I love Dwap Reith as much as the next guy. I got into this big debate on social because people got mad at me for calling out some nonsensical national report. Oh, teams are calling the Blazers about Dwap Reith. They really want. Yeah, Dwap Reith just got a DMP in a 30-point blowout, okay? Let's come on. Portland loves all their guys, but there's I throw it back, Brenden, to Myers Leonard, right? Portland hated that guy. They wanted him out of town. And then they're like, oh, that team really needs a big who could stretch the floor. They'd probably give us a first-round pick for him. Oh, so you think the player's trash, but other teams are going to give you a first-round pick? The overvaluation of your players is crazy. So, again, I'm not wasting time worrying about Delano Banton and his inconsistencies because you know what? If he comes on the floor and he gives you 8 points, good for him. Good for him. He's playing his tail off, and I appreciate that. As for this whole Yusuf Nurkic was better in the pick and roll thing, and he's not giving Anthony Simons enough space, and that's on coaching. That's not the player. Yes, I agree. Okay, I don't know what your beef is here with me, Victor, because I agree that they are not using Anthony Simons properly. But it also is a little bit on Anthony Simons, man. If they're going to change your role and they're going to make you do this, then find ways to be more effective in that role that they're giving you. And if you can't, that's when you need to talk to your agent, flex your role, get out of town, man. I think I know it's so easy to say it because it's the hometown thing, but Anthony Simons in Orlando makes so much sense. So much sense. Because they got Anthony Black, who's a good guard, Cole Anthony, obviously Suggs, and they got guys that can get him the ball, and they can just put him into a scoring role where he's the most effective. He's never been super great with a hand in his face or on that pick and roll because there's a difference between rolling to your left and rolling to your right and going from a dribble to your shooting motion. Then there is going and getting it in the catch and shoot where that ball is perfectly placed in your pocket and you're ready to go. I don't know if Ant has a ton of quick liftoff either. Like, it's again, this is a lazy comparison, I'll admit, but it's just because we saw it here all the time, right? But look at how good CJ McCollum was at creating space. He was an undersized guard, right? Wasn't the most athletic guard. So he had to create space, rely on his ball handling to open up windows for him to shoot. And he did so effectively. Ant does not do that. Ant is not a space creator. He's not a shot creator. So when they put the ball in his hands and tell him to put the ball on the floor and go create his own shot, it's going to be hard for him to do. Which, again, is why I agree with you. They are not using him right, which comes down to coaching, right? Because I think it has always been better off the ball. And again, defending, I'm not completely poo-pooing here. Like, I want to defend this guy because he deserves the defense, because they have tugged and pulled on him so often, and he just goes out there and does what they tell him to do. He doesn't rock the boat. He does what coach asks him to do, even if it's not his strong suit. But I think there's a reason you're seeing a downtick in his production right now, just because it's that there's no shooters around him, so defenses are guarding him. The only other shooter on the floor with him half the time right now is Jeremy Grant. He can't shoot worth a lick right now. Like, there's levels to it. So when I'm complicating things, yeah, because it's not black and white, man. Like, there are gray areas and there are nuance to why these things happen. Again, like, look at Golden State and look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry is good on the ball. He can create his own shot. He's very, very quick on the dribble, so he can create his own shot. But Steph Curry might be one of the best off-ball guards we've seen. To get the ball out of his hands, you let him run around picks, he goes crazy. He's hard to deal with. He's hard to guard. And it's not a bad thing. I just think that's how it is. That's how it is. I like Ant. I want Ant to be great. I think when they trade him, I think he just might be. But he's also a shooting guard who, what's his one thing he does great? Is it defense? No. Is it ball handling? No. Is it passing? No. Is it scoring? Yes. And unfortunately, that archetype is a dime a dozen in the NBA. It's the same thing I said with CJ McCollum, and then you all thought I was crazy, and then they're going to get way more than what you think they're going to get for him, and then they sold him to New Orleans, and everyone was like, oh, they undersold. They undersold. They got fleet. They didn't undersell. That's the market for an undersized guard who does nothing but score. If the market was so good for that type of art, then guess what? Tyler Hero would have got you Damian Lillard at a snap of a finger, but it didn't. Why? Because Tyler Hero is just a high efficiency, high scoring guard. That archetype, they're there. You get a guy who's not afraid to shoot, he's going to shoot, he's going to score points. That's my take on Ant. I love Ant, Vic. I don't know where our communication breakdown is, because I am with you. There is a lot more to this as coaching than it is Ant's problem. But Ant has some problems in there too. All right. Timmy says Victor was ready to challenge me to a match at the Elimination Chamber. Okay. I'm down with that, but I gotta go piss off a few other people there so we can get I need at least 4 other people so I can fill all the pods. I'm probably gonna have to start in the middle of the ring though. Yeah, that's right. Deep cuts for you wrestling fans. All you non-wrestling fans have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to do a 5-star frog splash off the top of the pod and land my knee right on someone's throat. Poor Triple H. That had to hurt. Also, Timmy says he's going to be real mad if Joe Hendry is in at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, real mad. Chad, Travis, Brenden, the captain, and Victor all in an elimination chamber. Yeah, that's going to put butts in seats, baby. Also, if I come in with the belt, I'm leaving with the belt in that match. They can't deal with me. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the 5th quarter. When we come back, we're going to head to the coach's corner, hear what Coach Billups had to say. I'm going to scour the box scores to see who is deserving of a game ball. And then we're going to get up out of here, man. It is 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Okay? I know you guys got things to do. And you're spending time with me, and that's why I love you. Chris Burkhardt here. 5th quarter presented by Coors Light continues after the break right here on Rip City Radio 620.
For the latest on tonight's game, we head to the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups.
The YouTube chat has evolved into us talking about what finishers would be. I said yours would be the worm, like Scotty Too Hottie. Timmy Hammock chimes back in. He says, no, yours would be like the 619, Rey Mysterio Jr. going through the ropes, kick him in the face. But you'd call it the 541 out of respect of Corvallis and morning show great Justin Myers.
I'm not going to lie, Chris. I consider myself a tried and true 503 guy.
Oh, 503. Okay, I like
Spent a lot more time in the 503 than I did the
I was
541.
just trying
So
to
it's
pay,
home to me.
I was just trying to pay respect to Corvallis, Eugene. You're like me though, man. Like there's something, even though it's changed, and Corvallis hasn't. I don't think it's changed as much as Eugene, but it's still changed. But man, there's just something that feels so good when you get to go back to your college town. You're lucky that you get to do it every single weekend in the fall, right? Because you cover your team, so you get to go down there. I don't get to go to Eugene as often, but man, when I'm back down there, a place I lived for like 6 years, God, just feels good.
Yeah, in a way, especially when I've still got buddies down there, and this last year I got to stay down after some games, so it kind of feels like old times in a way, Chris. It just feels like I'm like the old man continuing to get old, who's like, oh yeah, I'm still here. I'm taking like a class on the side, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
So definitely good times, man. Good times.
And Kirk, you get out of here with that negative duck talk, okay? They didn't get screwed. They got gifted the chance to sock it to Ohio State twice in one season. Ugh. Hey, I'm telling you this much. I am not going to poo-poo too bad here because I think too many big talking heads completely crapped on the first round of the college football playoff and actively devaluing all these players that these teams that 100% deserve to be in. Indiana, SMU may have got beat up, but they deserve to be in. It does kind of suck, though, that this is the year Oregon decided to go undefeated for the first time in a decade, get a first-round bye, and then you match up with Ohio State. It's like, this is ripe for taking your first L, and that kind of hurts. But that's enough negative duck talk. I can't do that, Kirk. I love you, and you know it, but they didn't get screwed. As Coach Dan Lanning would say, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Speaking of coaches, we played a Coach's Corner open, so we should probably get to some coach audio. Let's hear what Coach had to say following this loss to the Mavericks.
We did a good job on the glass. I thought our offensive rebounding was high level. Didn't really make shots, but we got the type of shots that we wanted. We go in down, I think 11 or something at the half, something like that. But I thought we played well. I really did. And you come out and have a tough third quarter, which we've done a few times this year. But our margin of error is just so small, so small. We go on a 3 or 4 minute stretch where we're not scoring and we're giving up a little bit. It's hard for us to get back in it, especially against these elite teams like this. So it was a tough night in terms of that, but I thought our effort was good. You just couldn't make shots. You got to really be able to. You got to do some real shot making against teams like this, Brooke, to be able to stay in the game.
Yeah, how important is it to be able to? I mean, it sounds good to say score consistently. It seemed like in the third quarter, there were just a couple of possessions in a row. They're just like empty.
Yeah.
It seems like, particularly against a really good team, like that's hard.
It's mandatory.
Yeah.
It's mandatory, and it's the way we had a chance to beat them at home.
Yeah.
Is our shot making. We made shots. We kept up with the scoring, and it makes it tough, when you don't, and they do, And then they can open up that lead on you, and then, man, you dang near got to play perfect basketball to get back in it, not to win it, to get back in it, So it makes it tough.
You mentioned the effort. You like the effort. Tumani leads all by far with 12 rebounds.
Yeah.
What did you think of his performance?
He was a monster. He was incredible. He was incredible on both sides, defensive glass and his offensive glass. I mean, he was in constant motion the whole time. He was an animal. He really was. I thought he was big time. His defense I thought was good too. I thought Tumani played well.
Kind of same idea with DeAndre. After coming back, it seems like he's put together a couple decent performances.
Man, I thought DA was really good in this game. His energy was amazing. I thought both of our fives set amazing screens. Their crashing was really good. DA held us in there with some of his shot making, at a tough spot where we couldn't get much. So, yeah, I did. I thought this was a really good game for DA.
Who is the MVP tonight for the Trailblazers? It's time for Game Balls on Fifth Quarter.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. Game ball goes to Denny Avdia. Good bounce back game. 6 of 11 from the floor. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block shot. A very good game from Denny. I like the bounce back. I also have said this before. Love the 6-man role for him, man. I think he fits it so well. So well. But that is going to do it for the fifth quarter tonight. We got to get out of here, man. To everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Kirk, he said the Yacht Rock has him in his feelings. That's okay. I appreciate you, man. You know that. I appreciate everyone. Hey, to everyone out there who celebrates, have a very, very Merry Christmas, a happy holidays to everyone. We still got plenty of shows to get to, but I do got to get my thanks out, man, because we've almost wrapped up another calendar year here. And getting to host this show and talk to you guys on the chat and on the phone calls, and even when you don't agree with me, like Victor there, it makes for great talk, man, and it makes my job so awesome. Like, if it wasn't for you, I'd just be yelling into the void, which I would probably still find a way to, kind of enjoy, because I just like yakking. But it wouldn't be the same. You guys make this show and everything about it awesome. I love my little Rip City family. Love all of you guys. Have a very, very Merry Christmas. We will talk to you on Thursday, 7 p.m. tip. Blazers taking on the Jazz. I will have Blazers game day for you at 5 o'clock right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.